Hello, in this video I'll be talking about how to convert your docstrings into documentation using Sphinx. Now you can see I have a module here which has lots of documentation, lots of docstrings. Too much, but it will give us something to test. And the aim is to get all of these docstrings, convert them into an HTML so that we can share it or just go back to it at a later date to remember how something works. So the first thing we're going to need to do is open up a command prompt window. So we can do that by going and just searching for CMD, and that will open up a window like this. And Sphinx is an external tool which you will have to pip install, so you should just be able to say pip install Sphinx. If that doesn't work, then you need to add the path of your pip installation to your path system variable. So I'll add this page as a link to the description of this video in case you can't pip install Sphinx. But assuming that you can, then we're ready to start. So the first thing we need to do is navigate to the docs folder of our project, and maybe I should just talk a bit more about that. So in my project, which I've just called rig package 2, we have the source package which will contain all of our code, and we have this docs directory, which is where we're going to put the files associated with the package, which are necessary to generate the HTML using Sphinx. So let's navigate to that docs folder. So we're going to use the cd command, and I've done this so many times I've actually memorized the path. So it's cd OneDrive, cd documents, if I can spell it right. Yeah. Okay, so now we're inside the docs folder. We're ready to start. So the command that we need to run is Sphinx quick start, and we can accept the defaults for these prompts. So separate source and build directories, no. Project name will just rig package 2. Author name 20mm, and the version is 0.0.1. English is fine, and that's it. So we've created some of the files which will be used later on, and now essentially we need to edit them to actually use our code. So here you can see, if I go into the conf.py file, that we have the information that we entered. What we want to do is add a few lines of code to add some system paths so that Sphinx can actually find some information, and to avoid some errors when we run the code. So I have these off screen, so what I'm going to do is just copy and paste them, and then we can talk about them. If I can find where they start. Okay, here we go. So basically this double dot notation is adding the parent directory of this file to the system paths. So that will be the rig package 2. And what we want to do is also add the scripts path to the directory and the MySite packages. So the reason for this is because I'm using them here. So I'm using the rig package, I'm saying from rig package 2.source.rig module import rigdag, And then in the rig.dag module itself, I'm saying from my import commands. Now, these modules are loaded for us if we have Maya open. So if I say from Maya import commands, you can see this works, and this is the path that it looks for. It looks for the Maya module in. And if we say import sys for path in sys.path, print path, you can see, if I can, I think it's this one. So there you go. So that's the path included, and we also have this path as well. So these paths are existing if we have Maya open, but by default they're not in your system paths. So they need to be added, and that is unique for me. But if you have a project which imports other packages, modules, then you'll need to make sure you add them here. Also, the extensions list is empty, and really the core of what we're doing is converting the docstrings to documentation. So what we want to do is add the autodoc. This is the most important one. The view code will allow us to view the source code in the HTML by just clicking a little icon. And the to-do is not very necessary, but we'll keep it there for now, and maybe we'll do something with it later on. So yeah, later on we're going to change the theme. We'll leave it at Alabaster just for now. And there's one other thing we need to do for the to-dos to work, is just set to-do underscore include underscore to-dos equals to true. Next, in the index.rst file, we'll just come down 2 lines from the contents, 3 spaces in, and type modules. So at this point, we should be ready to create the documentation and actually begin to edit the documentation, the appearance of the documentation. So what I'm going to do is I'll just change directory, go to the parent directory, and from here I'll run the Sphinx API docs command. API doc. And what you'll notice is I've got an error, because what it is expecting is this flag, this O, and output path and module path. So I'm in the rig package 2 directory, so what I can type is output docs and just everything inside the source directory. Now if we run that, you see it's created these RST files for us, and at this point, if I go back into docs, now I should be able to say make HTML, and there we go. So let's go to the index HTML and open this with your browser of choice, and there we have it. So now we have the docstrings having been converted to documentation, and you can see we have example here, we have what it returns, and this is what I was talking about with the source icon. So we can say what's the source code for build, and it will take us there. But there are some things I'd like to change. I'd like to remove this module contents because it doesn't really seem to do anything. I would like to change the actual overall appearance by editing that alabaster thing that we had in the config, this theme, if I can find it, the HTML theme, alabaster. I'd like to change that. And let's attempt to add to do, because we have it enabled here, although I don't think it really adds anything. So let's do all of that. So the theme that I would like to use is called the Sphinx RTD theme. Now this is something which is not installed by default, so you'll have to pip install Sphinx RTD theme. But I have it installed, so I can use it. Just there. And now let's edit these RST files. This one is okay. So this, if I go back to here, you see this module contents isn't really doing anything, so let's just remove that. And it also appears in the source module content, not doing anything, so let's remove it there as well. And then finally, if I can remember how to do a to-do, let's add a to-do. So I think it's like this. And then let's say to-do 1, to-do 2. Okay, so we've made a few changes there. We're ready to remake the HTML. So what we can do is say make clean HTML, and that will remove everything under the _build folder, and we can say make HTML. And now if I go back to PyCharm, go back to index, now we have this new theme. So this theme is what is used for PyML. Actually, you can see PyML use Sphinx themselves, so it's a very nice thing to be able to do, to generate high quality documentation automatically from your docstrings. So let's see, if I go to rig module DAG and come down, okay, so there are my to-dos. You see that we've lost the module contents. That wasn't really doing anything, and that's pretty much it. So you can see, I'll go over some of the code in the rig.dag module itself. So you can see if you want to have code in your documentation, underneath you can put it anywhere, but in the examples, all you need to do is have a heading with 2 colons, and then just have a space underneath. So that will give you this. And the reason why I said that the to-do extension isn't really necessary is because we can add basically any header here that we want, and so long as we have a colon at the end, it will be converted into its own section, its own heading here. So personally, I don't think having the to-do is very nice. One reason is because we might have to edit the RST file, and I would prefer to edit the main Python file itself. I think it's easier just to keep track of that. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you found this video useful. I recorded it as much for myself as for you, because I've kind of been going around in circles with this stuff, so I'm sure I'm going to forget a lot of this in the coming months, so I'll be watching this myself. So thank you and goodbye.